And so why do you use the absinthe brew technique instead of an absinthe fountain?
The Absinthe Brew technique is I guess the short answer is it's just more elegant. Like the fountain, I've worked at places that do the fountain. Someone orders an absinthe. Hey, the bartender always hates it. Oh man, the fountain. Particularly if like you don't have an absinthe themed bar, right? So you got to bust out the rig, and you pour it. And I don't know. For me, I just thought, is there a more elegant way to present absinthe? And so I researched and found like these brews, and I was like, oh man, these are super dope. Where you have, it's basically a single contained fountain, right? So you have the absinthe goes in the glass, the brew, that's the contraption that fits on top of the glass. You pack that with a sugar cube, ice on top. There's a hole or two underneath the brew. You pour the water on, and it's like, again, it looks really cool, but the guest, it takes up less space. You know what I mean? Like who wants a kind of a big fountain on their table? You know what I mean? Like and we always want to err on the side of elegance, if we can. And so the brew is, I just think it's a great technique. I think it's a better way to present absinthe. It does the same thing that a fountain's going to do, and I don't know any other place that actually uses them.
And so your wine list is a mix of very high quality proletariat, some very unusual wines, and then you have just absolute baller wines. How do you craft a list?
Wow, that's a tough one. I guess having proletariat everyday wines that are like unusual, and having like baller stuff. I guess I tell everybody this anytime I consult for a place doing their list, or just like places I've worked through my career, which it's a long career. I'm old, so you need to always have things for the ballers, because when the ballers come in, and if you don't have baller stuff, then you have nothing to sell them, right? And so wine, for the most part, is not really that perishable, so why not just have it? People, and it's not even if ballers come. People sometimes, like, today is my day to ball out. We had some people in here, like they want a little court case, right? Like it was like a small claims court case, and like we're gonna ball out, because we're celebrating, and sometimes it's really big. I got the promotion, or it's. But if you don't have nicer things to sell them, then they have to go somewhere else, right? And then they shouldn't have to go to a place that's like super expensive, like so. We have a lot of products that are very affordable, like entry tier products, and then we also have things that are like super nice. So that's kind of, and so without going into the very detail of all the different categories that are on the list, which is a whole nother, longer answer. It's just like we try to have a balanced list for everybody's mood and everyone's inclinations. We try to know as much as we can about those products so we can recommend them. That's the short answer, I guess. That took too long to answer.
And you also write a wine list for a handful of places around town. So first, how do you find the time to do this? And second, what do you get out of it besides consulting fee?
The finding the time to do it, I will always find time to do a wine program. I really enjoy doing them. I'm already always tasting wine, pretty much every day, and so I have like notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of my tasting notes, and it's not that hard. I guess it does take time, and training staffs definitely, it takes time, but what I get out of it though is just like it's a challenge, right? So if you are, say, a Japanese restaurant, or you're a Thai restaurant, or you're a Vietnamese restaurant, or you're more of a classic French restaurant, all lists that I've done throughout my career, it's a challenge, like, to find the right wines for their program. that makes sense. And at the same time, I never want to go straight down that kind of narrow focus of only presenting certain things that are maybe like hipster, or this is the way we do things. If you don't like what we have, too bad for you, right? That's a surefire way to make sure people always bring in their own wine and just get charged the corkage fee, which I think is kind of sad, I guess, when that happens. So why not just have also have things that guests are going to like. They maybe don't suit the cuisine of the place, but at the end of the day, people should order what they want to order. So there's a philosophy. Each list that I do is a little bit different than all the other lists, but I try to make sure there's like something for everyone at the same token, while still having super narrow focused things that work really, really well, if that makes sense.
And so, based on all the places, the previous bars that you've owned and other establishments that you've worked in or managed, how did it come to be Shift Drinks? Why Shift Drinks? Why in this place, and why now?
Wow. Well, I've only owned one bar, and it's Shift Drinks, and I've owned one restaurant when I was in my 20s called Tokai. So every other place I've just been an employee of, except for like my own consulting company, which I've had that since 2003, I think. Shift Drinks was like the last piece of the puzzle, I guess, right? Like I had a restaurant. I was in my 20s. A week after, called Tokai, a week after my 30th birthday, we just closed it. Found someone to take over the lease. Called it a wash. Did it for 5 years. And at that point, I just kind of honed in on the craft, like just specifically being a sommelier. So I went down the road of learning to be a som, being certified up to the point of being an advanced som. I've taken the masters twice. I should say I've failed the masters twice. And trying to always be, if I got brought onto a place, let's say to run it, to try to always make sure that I'm the second in command or lower. Like I never wanted to be like the general manager of a place. The general manager, it's a very, very hard job to do. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're gonna ever have that kind of responsibility, in my mind, just be an owner, because it's better. It works out better. Not that they're not talking smack on general managers, but the last piece of the puzzle really that made sense, that led to Shift Drinks, was getting a job at the Whiskey Library, part of the opening team that was assembled there. And I learned an incredible amount of real craft bartending. I ran a bar in Texas for a very short period of time called the Red Eye Fly, but I mean, you're making like the same 7 drinks all night. It was a music venue as well. And it was a very, very fun time in my life, but it was well before the craft cocktail explosion. So at MWL, I got to learn a lot, and that was like the last kind of, at least I felt, piece of the puzzle that allowed me to start thinking more like an entrepreneur. Could I do this, with my wife? Could I do it with my best friend? And so Elise, who I met there and worked with, and became very close with, we started discussing, well, wouldn't it be nice to do a bar that celebrated our industry? And the shift drink, and I mean, I know you know what it's like. I know what it's like. Sometimes that shift drink is the only thing that you're looking forward to it. You know what I mean? Like, you might have the one at work, and you might go out and have like 50 more with your pals. If you can get out and make last call somewhere. And so it was in that spirit, that, and like the other thing, we're not just strictly an industry bar, but people that are foodies or into knowing our hospitality stories. Like, it's nice to kind of share that with them. Like, this is part of our culture. And so anybody can have a shift drink if you worked a hard day's work, maybe if you didn't, but like, the first one's always the tastiest. And so that's kind of the idea behind it.
Awesome. Thanks for talking to me, Anthony.
You're welcome.